Okay, good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock, so we are going to get started. I hope everyone is having a wonderful morning, and I would like to say thank you for being here. I know that we would probably all rather be in our classrooms getting pranked by our students, so it is my sincerest hope that you don't get any April Fool's pranks today, at least virtually, digitally, um, before we get started. All right, so today we're going to talk about curating content. I'd just like to introduce our team. This is the team that has put together all of these webinars as well as our LearnOn portal. We have worked cross-divisionally. These are some of the hardest working folks out there besides you guys. If you are looking for my contact information, it is right here. I am Nicole Bond. I am the Educational Technology Specialist here at Lincoln Intermediate Unit. So I'm just going to go through a few housekeeping things here this morning as we get started. If this is your first time attending one of our Zoom webinars, you will notice that this particular Zoom is a little bit different. If not, then you are probably used to our Q&A section. All right, your chat, your microphone, and your camera has been disabled due to the large size of this group. You can use the Q&A to pose any of your questions, but please remember that both the responses and your questions will be visible to everyone. I will do my absolute best here to answer those questions as we go along, but I may just come back to the Q&A at the end. Additionally, my compatriot, Ben, is here and he will try to answer some of the questions as well. You'll notice that he has posted this slide deck into the chat if you are looking to follow along and click on any of these links as I am clicking on them. At the end, you'll have the opportunity to— You will have the opportunity to raise your hand if you'd like to use your microphone. And I'd just like to remind you not to leave before the Act 48 credit is pushed out to you. That will require your PPID, and it is for the PA educators only. You can find our webinar archives here at this bit.ly link, and the resource site, which I will push us out to here towards the end, is learnon.iu12.org. So in the interest of time, I want to get started here with some of our expectations. The continuity of education. So many of you are probably looking at this point, either going towards enrichment and review, or you are looking at planned instruction, and some of you are probably looking at something in between. So that is something that you want to keep in mind as I start to talk about what it's going to take to curate content, both tools we can use to curate the content and where we could go to find some of the content. That should be communicated to you by your district, or you can reach out to your district to answer those questions. I would also like to remind you about the importance of the free and appropriate public education honoring FAPE. It is our duty to provide educational services to the general education population, and that includes those with disabilities, and making sure that they have equal access to all of the same opportunities. I would also like to add that that also includes those students who may not have access to the internet or to the technology. We need to ensure that those students are also getting an education. Some of our expectations for online learning, and you'll notice down here at the bottom there is a link for best practice, and we're really going to look at this one a little bit more in depth today, is the idea of less is more. This is one of my favorite mantras for online learning, is less is more, the idea of prioritizing and balancing the work that we are assigning to our students. When we're using videos, this is just a friendly reminder to include your friendly face, which is why you see mine. And to limit the length, if you are posting, say, screencasting videos or pulling YouTube videos or going to Discovery Ed for content, try to keep it around 6 minutes or chunk it into 6 minutes so that your students stay engaged. As we develop our lessons online, and I'm going to show you some examples of this as we go into our curation today, it's important to remain clear about our objectives and expectations. We want to put those right up front so the students know why they're logging in and what they're trying to learn. Try to, when possible, identify the time it's going to take to complete a task. And always try to organize and sequence your instructions so the students know exactly what they need to do in what order and what to do next. So some of our webinar outcomes today. My first outcome, I hope, is to really distinguish the difference between curating and dumping and warn you against dumping out of just sheer zealousness of finding materials and trying to get them online. And really focusing on the idea of curating and choosing your materials carefully for your students. We're going to explore different tools that you can use to do this. And I'm also going to kind of go over the idea of choice boards and menu boards and how to develop those for students as well. as a reminder, this is really just a short webinar. My goal for you is to show you some ideas, kind of make you dangerous so that you can explore a little bit more deeply, whether it's on the LearnOn site with tutorials, or if you reach out to the tech and instructional coach if your district has one. You can also reach out to our team and we can help answer any questions and help point you in a direction if you're looking for a tutorial or a really more in-depth how-to. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is the idea of dumping versus curating. And I think this is so appropriate because many of us are kind of right here, right now, on a learner level. The idea of cognitive load theory is what comes into play here. And it's that the brain can only handle so much. So you see my juggler here on the right-hand side of my slide. We're all juggling a lot of things. And I think a lot of times it feels like we have the things we know how to juggle. Maybe we're able to juggle 2 or 3 balls at a time, but right now everyone's throwing another ball at us. And what we find isn't just that we can't catch those balls and juggle them, is that we lose the balls we were juggling as well. And the same is true for everyone, including our students. If you keep throwing content at them, none of it's going to stick. So the idea is you want to try to give them or curate for them the right amount of content so they are not reaching that cognitive overload where nothing's actually sticking. And we need to be kind to ourselves and realize that if it seems like we're overwhelmed and some of the things that we are viewing or seeing isn't sticking and we have to go back and review right now, that's because we are being victims of the cognitive load theory right now, probably trying to get all of the information that we possibly can into our heads so that we are prepared for this. So what I want you to do is to think about your content assignments like an exhibit. We're all teachers, but we're also kind of like museum curators when it comes to going online. Really what we're doing is creating a learning exhibit for students to work through. And when you're a museum curator, you design your exhibit with a beginning and an end in mind, and you try to curate only the things that you want your visitors to actually view. So you want to think about how you're going to label and categorize and group. Are you grouping by topic or by theme? And you really want to limit it. If you've ever been to a museum like the Smithsonian, they don't put everything they have out on display. They curate exhibits so that you have an experience, so that you learn something, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I want you to think about this picture and think about what that means when it comes to curating. You'll notice that this wall is not entirely full of pictures, all right? They are lined up in a particular sequence. The lights are shining on exactly what this art exhibitor wants you to see or to look at, all right? You will notice the use of white space. All right, when we curate and create things and experiences online for our students, we don't fill up every inch of space with text and graphics and images. If you're seeing slide decks that are full of 20 bitmojis and all kinds of graphics and images, the eye doesn't know where to go. The same is true with instructions. If your entire slide deck or hyperdoc is full of text, the students don't know what order they need to do it in. They don't know what they need to look at. They don't know where they need to click, or what's important, or how many of a certain thing they need to do. So keeping it nice and curated like this will help you. So think visually as well as thinking about your content and what's really contained in it. Down here at the bottom is an example of a bit.ly link. One of the things I like to suggest is when you're curating several experiences that might take students to different websites is to use a bit.ly link. Because what that means is, even if I'm not on my desktop right now, if I had a student looking over my shoulder, they could pull out their cell phone and they could type that right into their web browser and get to that exact link because it's short and it's spelled out. Now, the one thing I'd like to note about bit.ly is that capital letters do count. So curate, not dump, needs to be capitalized just like it is on my screen here. But that's an easier way for students to jump devices. And in a household where maybe 2 or 3 students are trying to do their schoolwork, mom and or dad and or grandma is trying to work from home on the devices, this might be really important for them to be able to jump devices really fast to do part of their assignment before they jump back on between mom's Zoom meetings. So that's just an idea I'd like you to think about as we move forward as well. That bit.ly will take you out to a website by Jennifer Gonzalez that lists out the top 10 ways to curate instead of dumping if you'd like to go a little more in depth. So one of the ways that we can curate is actually by creating menu and choice boards for our students. We know that when we give students choice, a lot of times they're a little more engaged. So the idea of creating something like a tic-tac-toe choice menu, like this one up here, or even a a menu where you say choose an appetizer, choose an entree, choose a dessert, and they have choices in each of those categories. So there are multiple ways to do choices. You can do choices for content, where students can choose what content they want to consume, or you can do choices for outcomes and say, okay, you can do this or that to demonstrate your learning. Offering that choice is going to engage your learner a bit more than a few of the other different ways. So if you are looking more about how to do choice boards, I have linked some Casey Bell resources in here. She creates some templates where literally you can just make a copy of the template and put your own information in it. So if you look at the right-hand side here at this tic-tac-toe board, the idea is that the student has to do number 5 in the middle, but then also has to do tic-tac-toe. So they have some choices on the other decisions that they make. The instructions are up here at the top. This one specifically deals with figurative language. If it were an online assignment, I'd probably put my bit.ly links in here to the places that I want them to go to do those things or to find the resources for those things on that board. Now, this is a pretty comprehensive board. So what I'd like to notice up here is that it says weekly. The nice thing about this assignment is that this particular educator is pushing out the assignment for the week. It's not every day I'm putting something into to make sure that my students have something little to do every single day, but they've chosen, hey, here are your choices. You have all week to do these however you need to get them done. So just a thought when you are thinking about how you are pushing out your particular assignments, how you are assigning them, that's a way to do it and say, here's the step-by-step process. It needs to be done this week, knowing that, you know, the week, depending on who has to work and when they have to work, it might allow them a better access to the devices they may have at home. So this is another example of a menu. So if we look through these menus, you'll see entrees where they choose one of these, desserts, sides, appetizers. There's a lot going on this board. I think it's a little difficult to follow. I would do it more sequentially if I were to do it, but to give you an idea, if we just go down here and click on bell boards. You can see all of the resources that she has in here. So I'm not going to go into great depth, but this is her podcast and she links in her choice boards down at the bottom. And what I like is that there's explanations about learning menus, how to set it up, and you can go down here and make a copy. So here's a blank one. You can literally make a copy here and make your own for your classroom. And she is offering an ebook as well if you're interested. So that's a great resource if you're looking for more information about choice boards. So coming back, I'm going to show you a couple of tools here for the curation of choice boards. I'm going to go and show you a little bit more about bit.ly if you're wondering about how to shorten those links. I'm going to show you how to do choice boards in Google Slides. I'll talk a little bit about Docs, though I'm sure you kind of get the idea. Wakelet is going to be the last tool that I show you, which is specifically designed just for this. It's really designed for the idea of curation. It has some really neat adaptability built into it. So bit.ly, you can create a bit link very, very quickly by going out to bit.ly, and this is just a screenshot to give you an idea. Once you go there, you're going to hit a create button, and as soon as you hit that, it's going to let you create a link. You'll paste your long URL in, hit create. It's going to create a little bit link like this, and then you're allowed to customize the back half of it down here and hit save. And once you copy that, then you have a shortened link. This is really, really, really fantastic because you can actually take that short link, and it's a lot easier with like, so for instance, when you're using Google Docs, a lot of times that link is huge. You can see there in the webinar chat how long those links are. If you take it and stick it in bit.ly, it shortens it up and it makes it really easy for students to transfer from device to device. So I'm going to go over here to the bit.ly really fast just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. See if I can. All right, so you have an idea. I mean, these are all of my bit.lys that I've made. It will also kind of give you an idea of how often they've been clicked on, but the button I was talking about is right here. And that's where you'd paste your long URL and it's going to give you your bit links. So very, very simple, super intuitive, easy resource to use to create bit links when you're trying to curate. The next thing I want to show you is how to use slides to curate. The nice thing that I really like about using Google Slides, first off, I know a lot of us are already familiar with it. It's just a lot of times we only use it for presentation. So it's really a matter of thinking around what the tool can do versus what we typically use it for. What's nice about Slides is that you can actually embed your YouTube videos right into it. So the students don't have to go out to YouTube, because a lot of times when they do go out to YouTube, it's then click, 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 click. Oh, I forgot what I was doing. So when you can embed them in here, I think it's a little nicer. If you want to have an idea here, I'm going to show you a curated slide deck that I put together so you can get an idea of how you might want to lay out that curation. So I see a question in the Q&A while this is loading. Is there a place we can access the links on the Google slideshow you're using after we're finished with the webinar? Absolutely. We upload all of our slide decks as well as a recording of this particular slide or this webinar onto our website under recorded webinars on the LearnOn, and I'm going to kind of show you exactly where that is. I can give you an idea where that's at here at the end. So in this particular slide deck, I just chose figurative language because that seems to be a theme, and I used to be an English language arts teacher. So if we're going through here, you'll notice that I only have 6 slides. You'll see today's objectives, review figurative language, identify, explain. I have a quick checklist right here so the students know exactly what I'm asking them to do. What I would probably do, like, so down here at the bottom I have Flipgrid and I have Padlet identified, so that's where they're told to turn stuff in. If you're using an LMS, you might want to include that specific direction in your checklist. So the idea of choose one of the following videos to watch. So I have embedded, these are all YouTube videos. So my students can just choose one. It's already in here, so I don't have to worry about them going out to YouTube and getting lost in the world of YouTube. And then step 2. So you'll notice I identified my steps. Choose one, and I've added some bold here so that it's very clear what I'm asking them to do. I have links to multiple poems. If I wanted to, maybe I would have included some spoken word. That would have included some videos of spoken word poems in here, just to give you an idea of multiple ways of consuming. And I have this big question. Oh, that's terrible misspelling down here. That I'm going to fix because that's who I am. You get the idea. And then this last step where I say share 2 types of figurative language you discovered in a Flipgrid that lasts 2 or 3 minutes, or you'll notice 5 or more. So I give them a choice of a Flipgrid or a Padlet at the end. You'll notice there's a checklist down here about what I want them to include in that. So I'm being really, really specific, but I'm still giving them choice. I'm laying it out in steps. So Slides works really, really, really well for this. So I'm going to go back up here to my slide deck. So you'll find that that's linked in here using the bit.ly. I see a question about the website again for bit.ly. Ben might be able to toss that link here into the chat or up onto the Q&A here as I go. Really quickly, I just want to point out that you can make a copy of that document for each student if you're not using Google Classroom and you're just sending this out to students. Changing the end of the link, after the last slash to copy, will force copy anybody who uses that particular link. Additionally, you can also do a preview link like this. What that will do is remove that whole side piece that you saw where I had all of my slides lined out. I don't think that's necessary, really. I mean, if you want to really keep them step by step in the slide deck, you can, but I like the idea of being able to click down that list when it comes to curation. That is a great question, Sherry. I can really quickly show you that. If you want to add video, you're just going to go to Insert, Video, and there it is. You can either search YouTube right in through here, or you can do it by the URL if you have the YouTube URL, and it's going to put the block right in there. Super fast. It's one of my favorite ways to embed video. Hope you add copy to the end if you want students to be forced to have a copy in their drive. Sometimes that's nice if you're going to perhaps create a slide deck where you want students to be able to type into the slide deck and then send it back to you. It's just an option. I wanted to make sure I shared with you. You can do the same thing with HyperDocs. I've included the Oreo template that we've included on our particular website, you can modify that template. And when you modify the template, literally use that as your hyperdoc. And in an effort to honor time, I'm going to move us forward into Wakelet because Docs is very similar to slides in some respects, but doesn't give you that option of embedding that video. Moving into the Wakelet, you'll see here that I'm going to link us out to this particular resource. So Wakelet's actually meant just for curating links. And they have designed some details about how to use it remotely. And that's what I've linked directly into the slide deck, information about using it remotely, including a remote learning guide. And it kind of steps you through. The cool thing about Wakelet is that you can use it just to push out information, but you can also use it to have students collaborate and create their own curated version of the information. So what I'm going to do is log in here. You do need to create an account. And that's going to bring up all of my collections. But I'm going to create a new collection. So when I created, I just hit that plus button to create my new collection in there. When I did that, this is the screen that comes up. You'll notice that I can add a cover image back here. I'm not going to do that just because of time. I can create my title. So I'm just saying I'm making this curation list for the week of next week. Follow the instructions to complete the tasks for the week of 4/6. All right, so that's just a basic instructions. I can get all fancy with my cover image. I'm going to hit plus here though, so you can see what I can insert and how I can insert it into this Wakelet, which makes this kind of fabulous. So down here, you see I can paste my URL. That means I can take whatever URL I want and put it in there and just create a long list of links. So it's nice if I need to share a whole bunch of links with somebody and send it to them. But when it comes to curation, I can also add text. So I can start here and put my objectives right here at the top so that my students read those first. I can embed the YouTube video. I can embed tweets, bookmarks, images, PDFs. So the handout that I had that I already have in PDF form that I know I'm not breaking copyright by having and sharing, I can put in there. So if that's part of the required reading or a choice for the reading, I can go right from my drive. I can go right from OneDrive. I can embed my Flipgrid video. So this is a great way if you're using a whole bunch of tools, if you want to pull them all together into one particular space. So for example, text, I'm going to say objectives, and we'll just 1, 2, hit save, there they are. And I can add before and after. Let's see, we want to paste a URL. What do I have up here at the top still? We're gonna take one of my other Wakelets and paste it in there. Boom. So what it'll do is it'll embed other things. What's nice is I want to point out when I put my link in there, it pre-populates it with whatever. But if I hit this edit button, I can start to change things. I can edit the image. I can say, view this site and record information you learned in the shared Google Doc that I have somewhere else. I can add descriptions and change everything that I want in these so that my students get specific directions for each particular link or each particular video. So that ability to edit is fabulous. I want to point out up here that I can change my view. Compact view can sometimes be nice. So for instance, that image was really, really big. Compact and media view would be the two views that I would stick to so that it's sequential in order. Once you get into grid view and mood board, it can get a little harder to figure out where you're supposed to go across the board. And that's the other thing I'd maybe add, like that nice editing step. I can say step 1 and label it so that my students know exactly what order that they need to do. There is something called an easy reorder mode that allows me to drag things around if I want to. So that's how you can lay out and add material to the curation board. So before I'm done, I would definitely want to go through this. I can allow up here at the top, enable copy. That means that other teachers can make copies of my board to use in their classroom. I need to change my mode. So private means I can only see the collection, nobody else can. I prefer unlisted when working with students. That way they only see the link that I give them or send to them. Public means that everyone can see the collection. So I'm gonna go to unlisted and then I'm gonna hit save and exit so that you can see the next step. So this is what it looks like. You'll notice that it will read, it does have a reader built in. So up here at the top, this is where I can edit the collection if I want to add or modify. I can come over here to contributors, and I want to point this out for those of you who maybe want to take this idea of curation to a whole nother step or a whole nother level, is I can invite via link or email or this code or this QR, I can invite other contributors. So if I'm working maybe with another teacher that I want to put their materials that are adapted in here, then I can do that. If I'm working with a group of students and I want the students to add things that I want them to curate, I can invite that too. Yes, you can link your Wakelet to a Google Classroom, and that is my next step. You're going right where I'm going to go. The other thing I want to point out is the ability to manage contributors. That way, if you send the invite link to, say, an 8th grade student who'd be funny to invite his buddy who's not in your class and somehow he becomes a contributor, you can delete contributors in here. So that's contributors. I'm going to go up here to the share button. This is another way to share. So there is your Google Classroom button. That's how you can share it right to Google Classroom. We've also got a remind button and a Teams button in there for those of you trying to look on how you can integrate it. And you can also just copy the link if you want to. You'll notice it's a fairly short link, so you may not necessarily need to use Bitly to do that. So that share button is right here. Additionally, you can embed it if you have a website that you use that you would want to embed it. You can create a PDF export. I would just note with the PDF export that they're not going to be able to click on the links, but that comes back to Bitly. Notice how we could edit that text. If you went into Bitly, shortened the text and pasted that in there, then you'd have that Bitly link with the real live links. So if you printed out the PDF, that might be a way for students who maybe only have a cell phone to access it a little bit more easily. Notify is just so that you can shout it out on Twitter if you wanted to. Maybe you'd want to do that if you're working with a great PLN where you guys are sharing each other's resources. Change visibility and then delete the collection. So that's kind of the quick how-to to use Wakelet to curate all of your resources to send to students. Wakelet's a fabulous tool for that. So if Google Slides isn't something that you want to look at, that might be something you want to look at. So the last piece I want to hit here before I go to opening up to any more questions we might have is an idea of where to find the resources, because I think for some of us, that's also where we are having some issues. This particular link is right to our LearnOn website. And this is our online content resources. It's under for educators right here if you are on our learnon.iu12.org website. And what you'll notice is that we have already categorized them by subjects, if you haven't been in here. And we've tried to like label some podcasts and identify, say, some printable resources. So this is a great place to go to start the hunting, because I feel like the content is really a hunting and it's individual to you, what you're trying to teach right now and what you're trying to cover. So all of these resources are also identified as to whether they're free during this COVID-19 closure situation, or if they're always free. I will encourage you whenever possible to use the always free. If you're going to use something that's free during COVID-19, I would consider whether your district is going to pay for it later. Maybe they've always had a subscription to it, so it's a resource you can regularly use. I would keep that in mind when you're really looking at your resources. All right, I'm going to kind of wrap us up here and see if we have any questions in the Q&A. If you embed YouTube links in Wakelet, will it take you to YouTube or can you watch it within the Wakelet? That's a good question. I'm going to say, let's find out. I think it's going to send you out, but I'm not positive. Using the search bar above. Let's go in here and grab one of these. Nope, that won't work. I am not entirely certain. I have a feeling it's going to send you out. Wakelet typically doesn't let you embed things. For some reason, that's not bringing up my whole website for me to, there we go, copy video URL. There we go. Oh, I might have been wrong. Let's see what happens. We'll hit save and exit. There we go.
Today is going to be like a dream come true.
So that is also very nice. You can also go out and view it on YouTube. You'll notice that it did take me into another web space, to like kind of another page, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's really nice that it does embed it to that level so you don't have to worry about the clicking disasters that occasionally occur. Okay, are there any other questions that we have about any of the resources that I've shared today? Looks like Ben has been posting all of my links there into our chat as far as resources are concerned. I'll remind you that this information is out on our LearnOn website. I'll go up here to for educators. If you go under the recorded webinar section, that's where you're going to find our slide decks as well as all of our recorded webinars from the past few days. So if there's something I went over and I know I speak a little fast, I try to fit everything in a short period of time, and you want to see it again, you'll be able to go in and see that. It should be uploaded in the next hour or so. So this is just a reminder that we have webinars going on pretty much all day today. If you go back to our LearnOn website, you'll be able to see and view the webinars which are next. And as we continue and we wrap up here, I'd just like to remind you that I really appreciate any of your feedback on the two forms that Ben has just sent out there in the chat. The first one is an evaluation, just to give us feedback to let us know, hey, are we doing a good job? What else could we be sharing with you? What are you looking for, what content are you looking for that maybe we haven't shared yet? And then the second one there is for your Act 48 credit. So as soon as we wrap up this webinar and exit out, the Act 48 credit link will also be sent out to you as well. But if you could click on that LearnOn web eval right now and start doing that for us, we'd really greatly appreciate it. I would like to, somebody got an error code. Ben's gonna try to send that out again. Should bring you. Should bring you out to an eval that looks like this. So you might just wanna check your link again. Thank you guys so much for spending your time with us here this morning. The next webinar will be starting at 10 o'clock. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.